before I even get into what happened at the Royal Rumble, just got to get this out of the way. Kobe Bryant, I'm still in shock about what happened today. He passes away at the age of 41 in a tragic helicopter accident. Just awful. Him, his daughter, his 13-year-old, both losing their life. Just you never want stuff like that to happen. It's so sad, and it just puts everything into perspective. So, it's just so hard for that to happen. Thoughts and prayers out of the Bryant family and everyone who's loved him throughout his life. And yeah, with that being said, we move on. So, the Royal Rumble 2020, this show tonight. Oh, I've got plenty to say. This is going to be a very, very long video, I reckon. This will probably be out a few hours after, because by the time I record this and then upload, this will take a while. But boy, oh boy, this show had its ups and downs. I guess that's what you expect when it's a 6 and a bit hour show, when you include the kickoff. The men's Royal Rumble, I loved. Everything about that Rumble match, from Brock making the roster look worthless in the first half, to everything that happened with Drew McIntyre. Finally, they listened to everyone. Drew McIntyre gets what he rightfully should have had. Because, as I've said countless times throughout the past month and a bit, Drew McIntyre is the full package of what you want. He can talk, he's got the look, he's legit. You don't look at him and think, oh, he's an indie midget. Drew McIntyre's legit. And finally, tonight, he wins the Royal Rumble match. That Rumble match was excellently booked. I put that on the same level as 2018, which I thought was the best Rumble of that decade. This was a great men's Royal Rumble match. From start to finish, the stuff with Brock did drag a little bit, because it was basically the first half was just Brock, a guy would come in, so someone like John Morrison or Rey Mysterio or Cesaro or Eric Rowan, Elias, there was literally 13 guys came in and Brock just tossed them out within 2 minutes. So the way they did that, Brock broke the record for most Rumble eliminations. Yes, he only had 13. I know Strowman had that in Saudi Arabia, but the Saudi shows don't count. Brock broke the record for the Rumble eliminations tonight. And then from there, when you had Drew McIntyre eliminate him, the eruption from the crowd, it was just an incredible moment. Drew McIntyre, I couldn't be happier for him. You saw, as you can see on the screen, as soon as he tossed Roman out to win this Rumble, you see the tears in his eyes. He was so genuinely happy. Everything Drew McIntyre has been through, from signing the company back in 2007 and them having no plans for him, to the chosen one thing on Smackdown, to floundering in the mid-card and then being fired, going to TNA, going around the indies, and now he's back in the WWE, where he rightfully should be, the main event picture. This guy is world championship material, and it's great to see he finally gets his opportunity. And it's not just an opportunity, the way they did this tonight, him being the one to eliminate Brock, him tossing out Rollins, him eliminating Roman Reigns at the end the way he did, the crowd just loving this. They're on their feet, they erupted when he won. This was an incredible ending to the show. I'm so happy for him. It pretty much topped off the show, because granted, I would have had the exact opposite reaction if, when the final two is Reigns and McIntyre, if they have Reigns duck a Claymore, spear, toss McIntyre out, Reigns wins the Rumble, I would have just gone off on this show, because earlier in the night, Vince had his other golden child, or his favourite prodigy, Charlotte Flair. Charlotte Flair won the Women's Royal Rumble match, which absolutely did not surprise me in the slightest. Seeing Charlotte Flair win the Women's Rumble, I predicted it, I called it, everyone was saying Shayna Baszler would win. I'm thinking to myself, Charlotte announced herself to be in the Rumble first. Charlotte Flair is Vince McMahon's golden princess. Charlotte Flair needs to be in a primary spotlight, and she hasn't for the last couple of months. Charlotte Flair is Charlotte Flair. Charlotte Flair is Charlotte Flair again. And Shayna Baszler. Who the hell is Shayna Baszler in Vince McMahon's eyes? She's Ronda Rousey's friend from NXT. That's who Vince sees Shayna Baszler as. Okay? You're not going to have Shayna Baszler, win over Charlotte Flair. And the way they booked it, Shayna Baszler didn't look terrible. She tossed out 8 women, and then Charlotte got her with the head scissors and Shayna went flying. So, the men's and the women's Rumble, just overall, I'm pretty happy with what they did. The women, not so much, but boy, I'm so happy for Drew McIntyre. What a moment for him. But when it was the final 4 of him, Roman Reigns, and Rated RKO, Edge and Randy Orton, I was loving that. Everything with Edge tonight, I loved. Okay, Edge, when his music hit at 21, oh my god, I went crazy. I got genuinely emotional in that moment. Now, a different kind of emotional I did when hearing about the Kobe news, which was awful, but when I heard Edge's music, Metalingus, I think that's how you say it, when You Think You Know Me hit, and just the crowd lost it, I almost got emotional in that moment. It was so great to see Edge back. Like, granted, that beard made him look like he was 60, but just seeing Edge in a WWE ring after everything he went through, the neck surgeries and being told he can never compete really again, and now he came back here, was just a perfect moment. And how they booked him as well. It wasn't just Edge doing nothing and then being eliminated in 2 minutes. They had him be a prominent figure in this match. I loved how they did that. Him and Randy Orton with Rated RKO, the stuff they did with Rated RKO and the OC. Like, I can definitely see them, they're going to build towards OC versus Rated RKO, probably in Saudi Arabia, I'd say. Like, I don't think you're going to hold that off to WrestleMania. If you want to, fair enough. But Rated RKO, the OC, that's definitely happening after tonight. Because, as I'll talk about later on, when you had Edge getting hit by the Magic Killer by Gallows and Anderson, and then you knew who was coming in next. It was going to be Randy. I hear voices in my head here. It's Randy Orton came down, so we got Rated RKO and the OC. That was awesome. The stuff throughout the Rumble for the men I thought was excellent. Just everything about it. It was perfectly booked. They didn't go too far with any of their, the WWE favorites. So Roman Reigns, had him be runner-up. Great. That's the same thing he did in 2018 with Shinsuke Nakamura, and everyone loved that. And everyone loves it now, and thank God Drew McIntyre won. I'm just going to keep saying this throughout the review. Thank God. Because Drew McIntyre versus Brock Lesnar, that is money for WrestleMania. That is a current wrestler going against Brock. Something that this company so badly needs. Okay, we don't need Brock Lesnar versus another part-timer. Okay, we've been there, done that. We've done Brock versus all the old-timers. We've done Brock Triple H. We've done Brock Undertaker. We've done Brock Goldberg. Okay, we've done all these Brock versus part-timer matches. This Brock McIntyre match is going to be phenomenal at WrestleMania. I can't wait to see it. Like, how they did this tonight, like, they really fooled me. They suckered me in, because when they had Drew McIntyre eliminate Brock, I went nuts. I was loving that. Brock Lesnar getting hit with the Claymore that sent him out to ringside. Drew McIntyre wins the Royal Rumble. That was awesome. And then from there, I was thinking, as McIntyre's literally staring a hole into Brock Lesnar for like 5 straight minutes just about. Because, for example, like The Miz would come in at an entry after, McIntyre hits a Claymore and tosses out The Miz, and then McIntyre goes back to death staring Brock as Brock's on the ground, getting back to his senses. The way McIntyre did that was epic. And then from that moment I thought, they're going to have McIntyre lose this, aren't they? They're going to have Drew McIntyre genuinely go from this moment against Brock to being tossed out by someone, and then Reigns will win the Rumble, because you've taken care of the Universal Championship. WWE Championship. You've taken care of the Brock Lesnar situation for WrestleMania. So now they're going to focus on what's happening with the Fiend on Smackdown. So I was certain they would have Roman Reigns toss out someone and win the Rumble. So I was so scared that would happen. Throughout the night I was just tweeting, let's wait for the inevitable where Reigns wins. Because I was adamant they'd have Charlotte Flair and Reigns win their Rumble matches. Vince McMahon would have his 2 favorites win the Rumbles. But no, he didn't. He let Charlotte Flair win, so he lets one of his favorites win, and then Drew McIntyre gets the win. Someone who I'm almost certain Vince McMahon hates Drew McIntyre, because Drew McIntyre was a TNA World Champion, but putting that all aside, tonight Drew McIntyre showed out. He showed everyone what he can do. He was so over. They made the right booking decision. Okay, so many times on a night like tonight, the WWE would have Drew McIntyre, as over as he was, get dumped out by Roman Reigns, get screwed over somehow, and you'd have a winner no one wants to see. But that didn't happen. And also with this Men's Rumble match, the way they incorporated the Seth Rollins, Kevin Owens, Samoa Joe, AOP, Buddy Murphy thing, they incorporated that seamlessly. They booked that really well at the end, so that didn't engulf the final 4 or the very end, but it was still a good part of the match. Having Edge with Randy Orton and Rated RKO against the OC, they incorporated that really well. I really like how they incorporated, a bunch of the stuff with Brock Lesnar, like how you had Kofi come out and they had the callback to Smackdown on Fox debut. Then Rey Mysterio came out and Big E, and there was great storytelling there. Shelton Benjamin coming out, the past Minnesota history between them two, the way they told that story. Cesaro against Brock, I like that. The first few guys that entered the Men's Rumble match, like Elias, Eric Rowan, John Morrison, and someone else who I can't even remember off the top of my head. When they were having those guys come out, I'm like, this is crap. These guys are worthless. But then, as I said, Kofi, Ray, Big E, Cesaro, Shelton Benjamin, even MVP, I enjoyed that. Like, the way they booked it, I was really entertained by, because it felt fun. It felt like a bit of thought went into who was coming out. The match felt like it had some purpose. Kofi, there was a callback there. Ray, callback. Big E, it's big man versus big man. Big E also has the ties with Kofi Kingston because of New Day, obviously. Then Shelton Benjamin, obviously those guys had their roots with the football in Minnesota. Went to college together, so that was great. Then MVP coming out and Brock dancing to MVP's music, that was hilarious. And then the stuff with Keith Lee, I thought that was awesome as well. Like, there's so much positive to say about this men's Royal Rumble match. Like, that's the kind of booking for this Rumble that I want to see. Like, you had Matt Riddle in there as well. Like, this was a great Rumble. And I love how, so Rusev and Bob Lashley were supposed to be in it, but they said before the match that they couldn't because they had a fight in the parking lot. You had Otis and Tucker were supposed to be in it, but they just weren't. Thank God. Otis had his spot in the women's match, which was great. Tucker, he wasn't even there. Thank God. They didn't need to have Tucker in this match. So, the way they booked the men's Rumble, I'm so happy about. The women's Rumble, Charlotte Flair, I expected it. I can't say I didn't. Like, I'd be lying to you if I said, I thought Shayna Baszler would win, okay? Shayna Baszler, yes, Shayna or Ronda Rousey winning would have been ideal, but I knew they weren't going to have that happen. Like, honestly, when they had Shayna Baszler come out 30, I was like, are they going to put her over Charlotte Flair? And then as soon as they had Shayna Baszler grab Charlotte Flair and toss her in the steel steps at ringside, I thought, yeah, Charlotte's winning. And sure enough, 5 minutes later, Charlotte Flair was pointing at the WrestleMania sign crying. So, that was the women's Rumble. The rest of this show, yeah, it was alright to good. It had its ups and downs. I think the kickoff matches, Sheamus vs Shorty G, it was fine. It wasn't overly great. It was just a fine to good match. The US title with Andrade and Carrillo was actually a pretty good match, which you'd expect from those two guys, but Carrillo lost, so what do you expect? And then the actual show itself, you had Roman Reigns against Baron Corbin. That Falls Count Anywhere match to open the show, it was alright. It was everything I thought it would be. Roman Reigns ends up winning the match. You have Baron Corbin in the porta potty spot. You have the Usos, Ziggler and Rude getting involved. So I fully expected that kind of stuff to happen, and it did. In the end, Reigns won. And then you moved on to the stuff with Bayley and Lacey Evans. I'm going to talk about that later on. That was not good. Bayley and Lacey Evans just made a mess of that match. It was not great to watch. The Universal Championship with the Fiend and Daniel Bryan, that was the Fiend's best match. The way Bryan worked that second half of the match especially, so great. I was on the edge of my seat watching it. The Fiend ended up winning. The way they did it with Bryan selling the effects of the strap beatdown was great. They turned a match featuring the worst stipulation in wrestling, the strap, into a really entertaining match. That was good. Becky against Asuka, pretty good match. I mean, it could have been better. I wasn't too into it because I can't really get into Becky Lynch matches, but yeah, that was that match. So, on the whole, the 2020 Royal Rumble pay-per-view, overall, I thought it was a pretty good show. I think I'll give it a number/letter grade later on, but honestly, just Drew McIntyre winning, the way they booked that men's Rumble match makes me so happy. It felt like 2018, the way they booked that match. It was logical. The way they booked it made sense. You had outcomes that you wanted to see. It wasn't just them giving you a winner you didn't want. So I thought it was excellent. The women's Rumble match, there was good stuff in it, but on the whole, wasn't nearly as good as the men's one. And the winner definitely wasn't as good. And then the title matches were fine. Like, they were what they were. There was nothing incredible. So yeah, that was the 2020 Royal Rumble. Now to get into the more in-depth review with this stuff. So I'll start with the kickoff show. I'll try and blast through this because these kickoff shows for these pay-per-views, why in the hell are they 2 hours? Okay, these drag on so friggin' much. Like, there's no reason this should have gone 2 hours. Like, there's only so many times you can show me Royal Rumble by the numbers before it loses all its appeal. Okay, I don't need to see how many superstars have entered the Royal Rumble match, or how many eliminations Braun Strowman got in Saudi Arabia, or how long Daniel Bryan lasted in Saudi Arabia, like an hour and 16 minutes, or how Natalya lasted 56 minutes one time, or how if you put all the superstars who've been in the Rumble, stand them on top of each other, they equal the height of the Eiffel Tower times 6. Like, no one cares about that kind of stuff. And why, if you're going to show it once, don't show it 45,000 times. So that was basically all of the kickoff show that wasn't the matches. The other stuff on the kickoff show, they talked to Natalya, R-Truth, that kind of stuff, nothing special. Anyway, the first match we got Sheamus vs Shorty G. This came 40 minutes into the kickoff show, so an hour 20 left before the Rumble pay-per-view started. So I'm watching this thinking, there's no reason for this to be happening. The match itself, I mean, it was fine. It was a singles match between Sheamus and Shorty G. There was nothing really about it. Pretty much, Sheamus came out first, looked in really good shape. Obviously, Celtic Warrior workouts, which Graves and Cole and commentary actually mentioned and praised, which was nice. So yeah, Shorty G came out. He looked G-rated yet again. That basketball player gear just doesn't fit. So yeah, this match is absolutely nothing special. Pretty much during the match, one of Shorty G's ears started bleeding, which is weird, but it didn't affect the match too much. Shorty G, he was like competitive at the start. They did like grappling exchanges. Shorty G and Sheamus like brawling with each other. Then Sheamus like took down Shorty G and just beat him down for like half the match. So he beat him down for like 5 minutes. Shorty G got some offense going. Notably hit some capoeira kicks, which are basically like Sheamus in the corner, Shorty G's in another corner. Shorty G runs at Sheamus, then does like a forward flip and kicks Sheamus with like the back of his foot, that kind of thing. So that was fine. In the end, Sheamus hit the 10 beats of the Bowden before bro kicking Shorty G and pinning him to get the win. So Sheamus beats Shorty G. I don't really care, and neither do many of you. Hopefully Sheamus gets into the IC title picture from now on. Or maybe they move Sheamus in the main event picture versus Reigns. I don't know what they're going to do on Smackdown. Smackdown's a really weird show at the moment. Like, after the outcomes from tonight, I don't know where they're going with any of this stuff. Because, yeah, Sheamus, where could he possibly go? Are they going to reform the bar with Cesaro? Is that the direction you're going? And if that's the direction, I hope it is, because where else does Sheamus go? Does Sheamus feud with Ali now, and they do a month of build versus Ali, and you're just going to have Sheamus feuding with all these mid-card Smackdown guys? Is that the direction you're going? Or you're going to have Sheamus go for the Intercontinental Championship? Or you're going to have... I mean, I don't know what they could possibly do. Like, I don't know where they're going to go on SmackDown. There's no direction with that show, but anyway, Sheamus wins. I gave this 2.5 stars. It was a fine match. Kind of boring at points, but in the end, Sheamus won, so whatever. Then with the United States Championship match, Andrade retaining against Humberto Carrillo. Of course, they moved this match to the Kickoff. I shouldn't have been surprised. I would like to see this go on the main card. But then again, you look at the main card in totality, and it ended up being like 4 hours and 10 minutes in itself, and that's without this match on it. So I guess, yeah, it's kind of good this match wasn't on the main card. But anyway, it was good. It was what it was. This match was very similar to the TLC Kickoff match they had last year, where it was US title. Was it US title? Might have been single. No, it was singles at that time. It was Andrade versus Humberto Carrillo in singles action. This match was very similar to that. Very similar kind of outcome. And it's just, it leaves you thinking, what's the direction with Humberto Carrillo? Like, why should we care about Humberto? Because all we've seen since he came to the main roster was him losing every match. Which is very disappointing how they've done that. This match, it came like an hour and 10 minutes in the Kickoff show, so it was like 50 minutes before the pay-per-view started. And pretty much, yeah, I was disappointed, as I said, for a second straight pay-per-view. Vince relegates this to the Kickoff show, but, you know, we'll live. Anyway, Andrade and Carrillo here. The match was pretty good, pretty much. They exchanged counters really well early on. Like these two, the ring work works really well. It's entertaining in that regard, so we got that. Zelina Vega's acting throughout this match at ringside was great. She was, really selling the facial expressions, dramatizing everything that happened to Andrade. So that was really good. Carrillo, he hit some aerial moves, like cross bodies, springboard moves, that kind of thing to Andrade. We had some near fall pinning combinations. Like, this was just like a good match, This wasn't anything great or amazing, but it was a good match. I mean, I gave it 3.5 stars. I was entertained by it. Andrade in the end got the win. Like, the ending for this, it was like Andrade went to powerbomb Carrillo. Carrillo flipped it into a pinning combination. Andrade kicked out. And then Andrade flipped over Carrillo into a pinning combination. 1, 2, 3. Andrade defeats Humberto Carrillo. 1, 2, 3 in the match. So, yeah, Andrade retains the US title. Where to from here? That's my question. That's my issue with this show. Now, realistically, if I was booking this show, I'd have Andrade defend the US title against Aleister Black. And I'd do that program for another, like a month before Elimination Chamber. I feel like that's the direction you should go. But will they just have rematches with Humberto Carrillo and Andrade on Raw? Probably. Like, Humberto is dead and buried. He was dead and buried when he lost to Carl Anderson last November. Like, Humberto Carrillo can't be saved. Yeah, Andrade retains the title here. So we'll move on to the main show. So, parents, that was our kickoff. Two matches. One that was whatever. Another match that was good, but a pretty weak outcome. So we go on to the main show. We open with Stone Cold Steve Austin narrating the video package of the 2020 Royal Rumble. This is a great way to open WWE pay-per-views this decade. Austin needs to do all pay-per-view packages, or at least have like big-time legends. So like Rock, Hulk Hogan, Ric Flair, maybe Undertaker, Shawn Michaels. Just get these like superstars of the business and narrate the packages, because it's so much better than all these other Rumble packages they've done throughout the years. Which, like, recently I watched the Rumble pay-per-views back before this show, and Jesus Christ, all these video packages have been the same other than this one. It's literally just, it's pretty much Royal Rumble by the numbers is how they open the show just about with every year. So this was different. It was exciting. Austin was talking about how dominance is, the word and the theme. If you want to dominate the Rumble, then you have no point being there. So I really like that. From here, we open the show. False count anywhere. Roman Reigns and King Corbin. I hate the fact that they open the show with this match. Then again, I'm kind of hypocritical with that because no matter where they put this match, I wouldn't have liked to see it. I've been over this in my Smackdown reviews. This storyline with Reigns and Corbin has made me not want to watch Smackdown anymore. And honestly, guys, I'm probably not going to watch Smackdown. I'll watch this week to see where they go from Fallout to the Rumble. But after this, if I'm not enjoying Smackdown, I'll just stop watching it because Smackdown in the lead up to the Rumble has been insufferable. Anyway, I don't love this open the show. Then again, no matter where it is on the card, I wouldn't have cared. Basically, Reigns and Corbin. Reigns comes out first. They have this this graphic. Like, if you watch the show, you know what I'm talking about. But basically, it was this weird picture of Reigns. It's not a picture, but like a hologram type thing. You know, they do these things with Asuka. But it was this weird picture of Reigns. I'm like, what the hell is that? So yeah, Reigns came out to a mixed reaction. King Corbin came out on his throne with his coroners. Whatever. They began this match with just Reigns punching Corbin. So Reigns beat up Corbin for literally 5 minutes to begin the match. Reigns is just punching him around ringside. They went to the crowd a little bit. Pretty much we get, they go to ringside again. Baron Corbin, he's leaning next to the announce table. Reigns rushes from ringside, goes for a Superman punch on Corbin. Corbin grabs Reigns. It didn't look very good. But yeah, Corbin chokeslams Reigns through a table. Immediate cover, 1-2. Reigns kicks out. So that was a cool little spot, I guess. From here, they would brawl around the ringside area a little bit more. Corbin then took Reigns into the crowd, and they'd have, Reigns would be punching Corbin, and then, getting admiration from the crowd. Then they had Corbin literally drag Reigns from one side of the arena, like the baseball stadium, to the other side. So then we're fighting in this production area. So, okay, we got a couple of spots where, Reigns Samoan dropped Corbin on the floor. Okay, and then Corbin was, beating up Reigns in this, literally the area where the production people sit in the stadium. So they were doing that, and then predictably, as I called this in the preview, and as everyone expected who actually watches SmackDown, God bless you, basically they had Ziggler and Rude rush in. Ziggler and Rude are beating up Roman Reigns, as you'd expect. This goes on for a minute, and then the Usos predictably jump in to make the save. So the Usos and Rude and Ziggler are beating each other up, so we get them brawling for a minute. So it's basically one of the Usos, Ziggler and Rude, they're fighting on this kind of level platform, whatever, and then randomly one of the Usos, I think it was Jimmy, gets on top of the scaffolding and just dives down onto them. So this Uso took down all three guys. That was a cool little dive spot, but yeah, that was that. From here, Reigns kept fighting Corbin. Reigns was just punching Corbin, going through the crowd. Reigns would hit him, and then Reigns would, play up the crowd a little bit. Corbin would, do the typical heel thing where you're, stumbling and you fall on the ground as the face is beating you up. So they did that. They make their way to the porta potties. Even saying this sounds weird, but they're at the porta potties, and literally, Reigns puts Corbin in the porta potty, and then spins around and knocks it over. And that was their, a super edgy spot, which I'm sure Vince booked that himself, I'm sure. So they did that spot. In the end, Corbin made his way out the porta potty. They found themselves on this, World Series sign, because they're in one of the, I think the Houston Astros baseball stadium, I believe. So they're on this, World Series sign. Reigns spears Corbin onto this thing. 1, 2, 3. Reigns beats Corbin clean, as you expect. I gave this 3 stars. I could have given it 2.5. I could have given it 3.5. I'm just giving it 3. I honestly don't really care. That rating's probably a bit generous, but whatever. From here, we go backstage. Samoa Joe and Kevin Owens talk for a little bit. And then we get Sonya Deville talking to Mandy Rose. So, did that really need to happen? No, but we got it anyway. So Sonya Deville's talking to Mandy Rose. We get that. Basically, Mandy Rose is just standing there, and Sonya Deville's like, Mandy, just so you know, if I need to, and we're the final 2 in the match, I will throw myself over for you, Mandy. So that's what we got there. From there, they did another segment where, well, not even a segment, but they showed the Kobe Bryant, a little tribute piece, which got me emotional again because, I went over it before, but Kobe passing away at the age of 41 is just, you never expect stuff like that to happen. You expect heroes like Kobe will live for, years and years, and they'll never die, heroes like Kobe, but for this to happen today, it's so zapping. It, kills the mood because, look, going into today, not that I was really looking forward to this show, but it's the Royal Rumble. I know you expect the unexpected, have a bit of fun with it, but because of what happened with Kobe, that became so difficult. But anyway, I guess we move on. So from here, we went to the next match of the night, the Women's Royal Rumble. This, it was a good match. to be honest. Compared to the previous two Women's Royal Rumbles, it was probably either on par or a tiny bit better. I mean, given how many NXT women they had in this, I actually liked it. I thought what they did was good. I think, as I said earlier in my little opening monologue, Charlotte Flair winning was an interesting decision, to say the least. I think it's pretty clear who thought that would be the best decision to go with, Vince McMahon. Shayna Baszler looked really good in the match. But yes, I'll get into the full review. I've got a heap of notes about this. Same with the men's one. I've got too many notes for the Rumbles, so yeah, that was fine. But yeah, before I even discuss this, I liked what the women did a lot, where they had only 7 announced going into the match. So it made the actual match itself even more unpredictable. Because what they did with the men, going in, they had 27 men announced for it. Now, granted, I don't think about 20 of the announced ones actually end up working the match, but even still, I didn't love how they did that. Having 27 announced for the men, keep it to under 15, please. Okay, keep some suspension of disbelief, some shock in there, some surprises. That's what makes the Rumble match so great. But anyway, just announcing 90% of the field is never a good idea. So yeah, the Women's Royal Rumble match, Alexa Bliss is the first entrant. Okay, fine. Then Bianca Belair is the second entrant, which I found Bliss and Belair as the 1-2 punch. An interesting little idea to go with. I think the two women who, having them get the spotlight from being 1 and 2 was really good, so I liked them in that regard. They went at it a little bit. Then number 3, we got Mighty Molly Holly. So she came down her, cape. So it was a cool Molly Holly little surprise entrance here. She did, this dive onto Bliss and Belair. At number 4, we got Nikki Cross. So Cross and Alexa Bliss's partnership comes together early. They did this really random little spot where Bliss and Cross took down Belair and Holly in respective corners, and they did a hug, just like the best friends do in AEW. So that was an interesting little note. Also, random other note, Nikki Cross, her run, the way she runs, it just hurts my eyes to look at. Anyway, from here, we go to number 5, we got Lana. So Lana came down, of course she had a microphone, she was talking about how, her and Bob Lashley are going to win the Rumbles, and then she literally says, I kid you not, she's saying the name of the company like she's the best in WWE, but she says this, I'm the best in W, and she doesn't even say the E. She forgets to say WWE, the E in WWE. That's something Michael Cole does when he's trying to panic rush a sentence out of his mouth, so that was pretty poor. From here, we got Mercedes Martinez, number 6. Corey Graves said, we all know her accolades from around the world, and I thought to myself, no we don't, Corey. The Royal Rumble is a show where lots of casuals watch the Royal Rumble because it's the most interesting, unpredictable show of the year. So most people don't know who this is. Me personally, I watch 4 to 5 different wrestling shows a week. I don't know who this is. Who's Mercedes Martinez? Care to tell us? Because not everyone knows about every indie promotion and what she's done. So that's what we got there. For me, Liv Morgan ran down at number 7. So yeah, Liv Morgan, Lana. Of course, they played this off basically. Lana and Mercedes Martinez, I believe it was. Yeah, they were brawling on the apron. Liv Morgan rushes into the ring, spears Lana off the apron immediately. So Lana's all pissed off. She's screaming. Liv Morgan's just staring at her. Mercedes Martinez gets Liv Morgan onto the apron. And then Lana legs Liv Morgan. So both Liv Morgan and Lana last a combined minute and a half. And then from there, Liv Morgan and Lana do their little brawl at ringside. Referees are desperately trying to stop them, but the referees are powerless in wrestling. So Liv Morgan and Lana have a little brawl. So that's going to continue, I'm sure. Great. From here, we get Mandy Rose coming in at number 8. The stuff they did with Mandy Rose tonight, I thought was excellent. They booked Mandy Rose and the Otis stuff perfectly. It was just great how they did Mandy Rose and Otis. I thought that was really good. Mandy Rose comes in. Nikki Cross and Mandy go at it for a little bit. They're renewing their rivalry on Smackdown, which, when Michael Cole said that, I'm like, what rivalry? What do you mean rivalry on Smackdown? There's no rivalry there, so that made no sense. Then we got Candice LeRae of NXT at number 9, as meanwhile Belair dumped out Molly Holly. They did this awesome spot where, this is the best part of the match, in my opinion, is the Women's Rumble. I love this. Basically, Alexa Bliss, quote-unquote, eliminates Mandy Rose. So Mandy's on the apron, Alexa Bliss knocks her off, and then we think Mandy's gone, and then the camera shows, Mandy Rose on her side of the ring, and she's standing on Otis. Otis is, lying on the ground. Otis saves Mandy Rose. This hilarious moment. And then Otis is, doing the tongue thing again. Mandy's, smiling. He's like, oh, thank you, Otis. So Mandy gets back in the ring. Otis, the crowd's chanting Otis, the crowd's cheering. This was hilarious. I was so entertained by that. That was so great. Mandy and Otis is the best thing in the company. I absolutely love Otis. He's amazing. So there's, as I said, loud cheers and chants for Otis. Then Sonya Deville runs in at number 10. So we get Fire and Desire, teaming up. They toss out Mercedes Martinez. At number 11, we get Kairi Sane. At number 12, we got Mia Yim. 13, Dana Brooke. And Tamina at 14. Pretty much during this time period, they eliminated Fire and Desire. So what they did was they had Mandy Rose once again get knocked off the apron, but Otis catches her, so they do the catching thing again. And then Sonya Deville's in the ring. Sonya Deville then gets tossed out, and Sonya Deville crashes onto Otis and Mandy Rose. So Mandy and Sonya Deville both eliminated. Okay, fine. From here we got Bianca Belair eliminating Tamina. That was a cool little face-off. So Belair got her sixth elimination of the night. Then 15, Dakota Kai came in. She ended up looking pretty useless here. Chelsea Green, he came down. What am I saying? Perhaps Chelsea Green came out at number 16, so it was cool to see her. Robert Stone, or Robbie E, he was standing behind her. And I only realized tonight, even though Robert Stone's been on TV for 3 weeks now, but my God, that is Tony Khan. That's their attempt of ripping off Tony Khan. Robert Stone, Tony Khan, they look identical. So, yeah, Robert Stone came out clapping and then he went backstage. Pretty much we got Chelsea Green running into the ring. It's just, Chelsea Green eliminated Dakota Kai, and then Alexa Bliss immediately dumped out Chelsea Green, and then Bianca Belair took out Dana Brooke. So our first two entrants, Alexa Bliss and Bianca Belair, are the only two left in the ring at this stage. From here we get Alexa Bliss and Bianca Belair playing tug of war on the apron with Belair's hair, which results in Belair half getting back in the ring and whipping Bliss using her hair into the ring post. Bliss crashes to the ground, so Bianca Belair gets another elimination, her 8th of the match, which that made her look great. So Bianca Belair standing in the ring. I'm thinking, bring out Rhea Ripley right now. That'd be an incredible moment. Yeah, Rhea Ripley in the ring. That would be so sick. Rhea and Belair to hype up their match to take over Portland. Instead, we got Charlotte Flair. So Charlotte Flair came in at 17. This is the woman I predicted who would win the Rumble, and as we go on to see, she would. It was a cool moment between Charlotte Flair and Bianca Belair. Love the rhyming there. From there, we got Naomi making a return, number 18. Naomi had this ridiculous afro. She was pretty over with the crowd, but that afro she has now is ridiculous. Beth Phoenix then came in at 19. Another cool entrant to get in the match. I like that Beth Phoenix was there. She, just like Edge, lasted a long time in the match, given her surprise entry nature, so that was cool. So pretty much, the 4 women in the match at this point, Belair, Flair, Naomi, and Beth Phoenix. So that's really good. Number 20, we got Toni Storm. And when Toni Storm ran down, just like I had with the, real awakening to the fact that Robert Stone looks like Tony Khan, when I saw Toni Storm, I'm like, that's Caitlyn. You all remember Caitlyn from, being the Divas champion in 2013 and 14? Caitlyn, Toni Storm is Caitlyn in my eyes, which that's great because I thought Caitlyn was amazing back when she was in the company. So Toni Storm came in. From here we got Charlotte tossing out Bianca Belair. So Belair had her 8 eliminations and lasted 40 minutes. So great showing from her. At 21 we got Kelly. So I got an immediate PTSD flashback to 2011 and 12, and we got 9 straight months of Beth Phoenix versus Kelly for the Divas title. At 22 we got Sarah Logan. Pretty much we got Charlotte eliminating Sarah Logan and Kelly in the space of 2 minutes. Then 23 was Natalya. Natalya came in and aligned immediately with Beth Phoenix. I like what they did there. Beth Phoenix had cut herself on the head during one of the spots, so her blonde hair was turning blood red. 24 we got Xia Li. 25 Zelina Vega. 26 Shotzi Blackheart. Nothing really to say about them. Naomi then did the spot where she got sent off the apron and held on via the barricade. So perhaps a spot we've seen Kofi do numerous times. Naomi made her way onto the barricade. She hobbled her way across to the announce table. So she spent 10 minutes walking across the announce tables. From here, Carmella came in at 27. Charlotte Flair crashed to ringside through the middle ropes, whilst Tegan Nox came in at 28. Santina Marella, this I hated. Santina Marella comes out at 29, gets in the ring. Beth Phoenix is looking pissed at Santina. Natalya's staring at Santina. Santina gets his Cobra out of his bra. This was cringe. He sets the Cobra up and then hits himself with it and then eliminates himself. So that really didn't need to happen. From here, Naomi built a bridge between the announce table and steel steps using the Spanish announce table covering thing. Naomi runs across that, gets back in the ring. From here, Shayna Baszler comes in number 30. Shayna Baszler eliminates 4 women quickly. Then Shayna took out Naomi and recorded another elimination. I think this is a 7th. Shayna just eliminated everyone. So this left Beth Phoenix, Natalya, Charlotte Flair, and Shayna Baszler as the final 4. Beth Phoenix turned her back on Natty and tossed her out. Shayna then tossed out Beth Phoenix. This left Baszler and Charlotte. Charlotte would hold on, because, Baszler just tossed her out. Charlotte held on. She's holding the top rope. Charlotte then gets a head scissors on Baszler. Sends Baszler forward. Baszler flips over the top rope to the floor. So we get Charlotte Flair winning the Women's Rumble. I talked about this earlier. I gave this Rumble match 3 3/4 stars. Charlotte wins by loss, eliminating Baszler. I expected this fully. They're going to go Charlotte Becky at WrestleMania, and Charlotte will win the title. No one wants to see that, but that's the direction they'll go. So it was what it was. From here, this I'm going to literally smash through really quickly. SmackDown Women's Championship, Bayley, Lacey Evans, just... I could not care less, honestly. This match I used as like my bathroom break to get myself back into the match back into the show after what we got from the Women's Rumble. Like, honestly, by this point, I'd sat from the beginning of the kickoff show through to this point. So this was the beginning of the second hour of the main show, so the fourth hour of the show in total. So I just wanted to get my breath back, rejuvenate. I didn't really care to watch this, and from the bits I actually watched, it was sloppy as hell. I'm kind of glad I didn't pay full attention to this, because this match was not very good. Basically, we got Bayley coming out, she got not great reaction, then Lacey Evans came out, she got a really not great reaction. Given they're trying to make her a big baby face, and the reaction she got was not very good. And this match proved why she's not ready to be women's champion just yet. Like, her reaction was abysmal from the crowd throughout this match, and her moves, oh my god. This, as I said, outside of the parts of this match I didn't use as a bathroom break, from what I saw, I got to see this excellent spot where Bayley was in the ring, staggered and selling like the effects of a punch or whatever. So, what's the name? Sorry, Lacey Evans is on the apron. Lacey Evans stares at Bayley, springs herself up onto the top rope. Lacey then, I think she was going to go for a springboard clothesline on Bayley. That's what I think she was going for. But Lacey like slips, so she like falls forward off the top rope. She literally crashes to the mat. Then, to be fair to her, she improv'd this well, but the fact she slipped at all made this look terrible. Press commentary just didn't even mention this. But yeah, so Lacey like falls onto her face just about, pops up, discus clothesline to Bayley. So, I mean, that spot was, it was what it was. Like, it was just, as I said, very sloppy, it's not what you want to see from a future women's champion. So, anyway, this match, it rolled on. I mean, they went to ringside and did a callback to Bayley and Lacey Evans from the stuff they did with Sasha and Lacey's daughter. So they had Bayley in front of Lacey's daughter. Lacey's daughter was like, screeching at Bayley. Whatever. I could not care less about this. And the fact that in the ending you had Bayley literally roll up and illegally pin Lacey because Bayley was holding Lacey's tights, illegally, and the ref counted the 1, 2, 3. It's like, that ending, I don't understand for the life of me. Because one, you didn't even involve Sasha in this match. Sasha was nowhere to be seen on this pay-per-view. We got 6 hours and 10 minutes of a Royal Rumble event, and Sasha wasn't even on the show. Like, what's that about? Where's Sasha Banks? She should be on this show. Why isn't she? That doesn't make any sense. Why is Sasha Banks not at this show? Anyway, so there was nothing to do with Sasha Banks. Bayley, who for the last month, outside of instigating the brawl on SmackDown, outside of that, Bayley has looked terrible for the last literally 6 weeks. Lacey Evans has hit her with woman's right week after week, if not teased her with it and made Bayley fall down. Or Lacey's beaten up Sasha Banks. Lacey's stood tall after winning a match. Like, Lacey's been built dominantly for all this time, and yet your big Royal Rumble payoff is Bayley winning. Then again, after seeing Lacey Evans' ring work tonight, I can understand why that's the case, because, oh my god, Lacey Evans looked terrible in this match. She couldn't have worked this any worse. Like, that slip from the top rope, and that wasn't the only example. Like, Twitter was making a scene out of how many, either stuff-ups or how sloppy Lacey was working the match. But yeah, that one spot especially, that it was so obvious it wasn't even like one of these botches which, if you're just watching it normally you don't notice. Like, this is something I was just casually watching, I'm like, what was that? She just slipped off the top rope. That's not supposed to happen. So she fell forwards and had to bounce up and hit a clothesline to try and redeem herself. Thank God she didn't stay there. She got right back up and clotheslined her, but that's not a botch you want from someone to be your women's champion. So, I mean, that's what we got there. The SmackDown Women's title is beyond lifeless. That belt can't be saved. Hopefully Charlotte, I don't want Charlotte to face Becky or Bayley at this point, so that's what we got there. Then moving on with the show, we go to the Fiend against Daniel Bryan in the strap match for the Universal Championship. Bray Wyatt's entrance, it's just epic. I love the Fiend's entrance, it's so sick. Bray Wyatt is awesome. Everything about this I loved. Like, how creepy it looks. So yeah, obviously Bryan come out first, cool, good yes chant going. Then Bray Wyatt's thing hit, it's like the Firefly Funhouse, little theme comes up, the graphic, then it goes down because of the Fiend, effects, then the Fiend thing hits, the lights all go out, you got the Let Me In on the screen, like the Fireflies, so everyone's holding up their phones with the light on it, and then the sixth theme song hits, Bray Wyatt slowly walks out with the horrifying, head lantern, he's got his sick Universal Championship belt, this was so good. Pretty much, the first few minutes of this match was literally the Fiend whipping Daniel Bryan with the strap, because obviously, strap match, they're both tied together. I said this on the Smackdown review, I'll say it now, don't know why this was pinfall, This should have just been touching the four corners. It would have been just as good, but anyway, Bryan had this little comeback after Fiend had hit him with a strap literally 5 minutes over the back. Bryan had a little comeback where he hit a running knee for a near fall, and he used the strap to ram Wyatt's face in the ring post. So, like, Bryan's on one side of the ring post, Fiend's on the other. The strap's, like, where the turnbuckles are. And so Bryan literally, using his momentum, pulls back. So Wyatt gets sent ramming face first in the post. So they did that a couple of times. Fiend continued to whip Bryan with the strap. Wyatt was standing over Bryan on the announce table. I really liked what they did here. So basically, they're standing on one of the announce tables. I think it was a German one, but not that it really matters. Pretty much, Wyatt's standing over Bryan. He's like punching him, hitting him with the strap. Then he looks like he's about to pick him up, but Bryan then proceeds to start just kicking Fiend in the crotch over and over. He kicked him like 5 times low. Then Bryan gets up, DDTs the Fiend on the table. Table doesn't even break, which I don't know how that doesn't break the table. From here, we get literally Daniel Bryan unloading on the Fiend with the strap shots over and over and over again. That must have felt bad for the Fiend. So yeah, Bryan's unloading on him with the strap. They get back into the ring. Daniel Bryan would do a strap shot and then a yes kick to Wyatt over and over. So, like, the crowd's going nuts doing the yes chant. Wyatt's on his knees. Bryan does a kick, hits him with the strap, does a kick, strap. They do that over and over again. Wyatt kept asking for more, and Bryan kept going and going. Michael Cole referred to the crowd as the WWE Universe. So just like I referred to with Lana earlier on the show, and how Lana botched saying WWE, Michael Cole botched saying WWE here, so that was pretty weak. From here, the match really picked up. I really enjoyed this. Fiend caught Bryan with Sister Abigail out of nowhere for a near fall. Bryan got the Fiend in a yes lock, but Fiend escaped it. That was really good there. Bryan hit Fiend with another running knee for a near fall. I love the bit where Bryan was like willing himself into momentum. So like, Bryan's like on his knees, almost hulking up basically. The crowd's doing a yes chant. The crowd's getting involved. Then the camera cuts to the Fiend who's standing up behind Bryan, just like menacingly staring at him. Like, I thought that was sick. I love what they did there with that. From here, we got the Fiend, the Fiend started behind him, then Bryan unloaded with the strap on Fiend for a couple of times, but Fiend just no-sold it. Like Bray Wyatt, this was hilarious. He just no-sold the strap shots. Then the Fiend mandible clawed Bryan, so he gets him the mandible claw, then like chokeslams him basically, keeps the mandible claw applied, just stands there with the mandible claw in, 1, 2, 3. The Fiend retains the Universal Championship. This was great. Afterwards, the Fiend stood over Daniel Bryan for a bit, then the lights went out for like 10 seconds, which obviously in this time, Bray Wyatt takes off the strap from his wrist, rushes under the ring, and then uses like a tunnel under the ring to get out of ringside. So they did that. The lights come back on. Daniel Bryan's alone in the ring. They get a really good camera shot of Bryan's back, which is just a massive strap welts on it. Bryan's selling the effects of this beatdown. They get like 3 doctors, 4 referees. They have them checking on Bryan. Bryan's like trying to get up. He keeps falling over. They're really, hamming on this Fiend assault of Daniel Bryan. They're really selling it big time. Bryan, he's like walking, he's being helped up the aisleway, and then he keeps falling over. So that's literally 25 minutes. Not really, but like 5 to 10. This match I gave 3.5 stars. I found it kind of hard to rate because it was a weird match, the strap match. I don't think it was a 4 to 5 star match, but it was pretty damn good for a Fiend match. So that's what we got there. From here, we got the Raw Women's Championship. Becky Lynch vs Asuka. This match, it entertained me. I thought it was pretty good, but I just didn't get as invested into it as I wanted to, which, personally, I put that down to a combination of 2 factors. One, Becky Lynch's in-ring style just doesn't entertain me nearly as much as A, it used to, but B, that it probably should. Like, her in-ring style, it's very, not robotic. It's not as bad as Charlotte Flair from a robotic perspective, but I just don't really care for her in-ring style anymore. Like, she's alright in the ring, but then I think about all the stuff she says, like, outside of WWE, so on backstage or in interviews, and how she talks about herself as if she's like the best talent in the company and she should be the face and everything. I'm thinking to myself, this is the in-ring product you put on. Like, it's good, but it's just not, it doesn't captivate me. Like, it just doesn't. And this match here was good, no doubt about it. I gave it 3 3/4 stars in the end, this match with Asuka. I thought some of the stuff throughout it was really entertaining. The booking was pretty good. For the most part, I enjoyed it, but I can't take her seriously when she talks about being the number one face of the company, defying gender and all this, making championships, not women's in it, just no women's division, just championships, like WWE Championship or NXT Championship, no women. So when you hear comments like that, I think to myself, your match better be really good for you to be making comments like that. And Becky's style, it just doesn't fascinate me as much as it probably should. So, as I said, Becky Lynch's style, whatever. The first few minutes of this match saw some back and forth exchanges with Becky and Asuka. Becky really selling like how important this match was with like facial expressions and her acting. Asuka, she was really good in this match. Once again, Asuka proves how great she can be. But then you realize that the division that Becky Lynch says shouldn't be called women's division because that's disrespectful. The division itself is just pretty much non-existent. Like, where's the competition? Because now where do they go from here on Raw? Are you going to do Becky versus Asuka again? And you can do the Elimination Chamber? So we can get 5 more weeks of Becky Asuka. And then you're going to do Becky Charlotte at WrestleMania? Is that the direction you're going to go? Or are you going to rush Ronda Rousey back tomorrow night and have Ronda win the title from Becky? Like, the division, there's non-existent. You're not going to have Sarah Logan win the title. Like, maybe tomorrow night they're going to bring Ruby Riott back. That's like the only thing I can think that they can do. Because other than NXT women, there's no direction for this division because Becky beats Asuka tonight. The match itself, yes, after the first couple of minutes where they did some back and forth, Asuka took control and beat away on Becky for a little bit. We got Asuka on the apron, and then Becky standing in the ring, and Becky like suplexes Asuka face first onto the apron, and Asuka crashes to the floor, so I thought that was fine. Then we got Becky hitting an exploder suplex on Asuka into the apron, so a Beck-sploiter, as Becky calls it. That was cool, I guess. The two women brawled on the apron a little bit some more. Becky suplexed Asuka from the top to the mat for a near fall, so Becky with another suplex. The spot where Asuka kicked Becky in the head, and they sold Becky as being knocked out unconscious that was fine. The referee was about to signal for a stoppage. So yeah, like that's strike. Becky sold really well. I actually genuinely thought they were going to stop the match, which it got me. My suspension of disbelief broke for a second. I thought Becky was out. That she sold that well. And then, Becky grabs the referee's leg and is like, no, don't you dare. So the match continued. Basically, from there, we got Becky escaping an Asuka armbar. That was fine. The two women got laid out. Then they exchanged some strikes on one another, which I thought was good. So they exchanged the strikes. Then we got the finish where they get up. Becky gets sent into the referee by Asuka. The referee's like in the corner. He's not damaged or anything. He's still standing. From here, Becky turns around and kicks Asuka in the gut. Asuka, her face goes up and green mist goes flying up into the air. And then the green mist comes down to Asuka's own face. From here, some green mist goes to Asuka. Becky then locks in her armbar on Asuka. Asuka's in it for like 10 seconds. Then Asuka taps out. So Becky Lynch retains the Raw Women's Championship here. It is what it is. As I said with the Raw, the Women's Division and Becky Lynch as a whole, her comments, just like Seth Rollins with his Universal title reign, they maybe not care as much anymore. So that's Raw Women's title. Becky retains. Good match. Moving on. So finally, we get 2020 Men's Royal Rumble match. Personally, I thought this was just, outside 2018, the best one they've done in, so long. This, I'd say, was on par with 2018 as far as how they booked it. The booking was very intelligent. It incorporated the storylines well. It wasn't overbearing with some stuff that we didn't want to see. They gave us a winner that we liked. Universally, we don't hate the winner. We really like the winner, so I thought this was excellent. Beforehand, we had Booker T come down to join the commentary crew. So commentary was Booker T, Corey Graves, and Michael Cole. Interesting, no Vic Joseph on the show at all, so what is happening there? From here, we're told that Rusev and Lashley had a brawl in the parking lot before the show, so they're going to be out of the match. They can't enter, which I was like, okay, so that's probably them booking the show yesterday and thinking, oh, we kind of can't fit everything in with Rusev and Lashley, and there's no place for Rusev and Lashley to do something, so we just get them out, write them off TV here. From here, Brock Lesnar comes out number 1. We all knew this would happen. This was booked literally 3 weeks ago on Raw, so we knew Brock would come out number 1. Then we get Elias number 2. This was something that Adam Blompier did in his Wrestle Talk booking the Royal Rumble 2020. Pretty much this, it makes sense because you want Elias to actually have ample time to do his singing act. And given how Elias called out Brock on Smackdown like 2 weeks ago, this was always going to probably happen. So very predictable 1 and 2. Elias coming down saying that Brock's never there and Brock's a bad Universal Champion and WWE stands to walk with Elias and Heyman's fat and that kind of thing. So yeah, Elias does his singing. From here we get Brock, German suplexing Elias a couple of times and tossing him out. So that's 1 elimination for Brock Lesnar. From here, the countdown clock hits and we get number 3, Eric Rowan. Rowan walks down with his cage. Eric Rowan at number 3, just another guy. He probably shouldn't have been in the Rumble to begin with, but now that he's here, he can get dumped out by Brock, and that's what happened. He lasted 20 seconds-ish, and then Brock tossed out Eric Rowan. So that's 2 eliminations for Brock Lesnar. From here, we get Robert Roode's glorious music hitting. Roode comes down in the robe. He's looking like anxious about Brock Lesnar. So yeah, Rude takes his robe off, gets in the ring. Brock Lesnar tosses him around a little bit, and then Brock tosses out like over the top rope, gets rid of Robert Roode, whatever. So that's 3 eliminations of Brock Lesnar now. Brock is getting breaks in between each entry because it's Brock Lesnar. He can do what he wants, and when he's getting rid of these people in 30 seconds, he has ample time to get a rest. So at number 5, John Morrison comes out. So Brock, he made quick work of Jomo. Jomo got into the ring and went to like kick Brock. Brock kicked him back and Brock just nailed him. Jomo fell to the ground and Brock just tossed him out. So Brock with 4 eliminations, quick, smart. From here, I really liked what they did. So they got the jobbers out of the way. Elias, Eric Rowan, Robert Roode, and Jomo. Guys who no one could care less about. And then Kofi Kingston's music hit. So the New Day's music hit. Kofi comes out. And, the atmosphere kind of changed for the Rumble. You could feel this like, oh. Because as we know, Brock Lesnar beat Kofi in 6 seconds to win the title. Which they never really brought that back up, but there was a big moment, and I'm glad they did this. This is another thing that Blompier did in his video. They book it here. Kofi Kingston comes down. He's looking all serious, looking angry at Brock. Kofi takes the fight. Brock just unloads on Brock. This was great. Kofi Kingston getting his offense in. Brock, then hit a few Germans on Kofi. So then we get number 7. So Kofi Kingston's the first man that survives a minute and a half with Brock Lesnar. At number 7, Rey Mysterio comes down. This is another great callback that I really enjoyed because obviously Rey Mysterio had the feud with Brock Lesnar at the start of the Raw season premiere when Brock beat up Dominic and Rey, and that carried through to Survivor Series, so we've got a 7-week program between them. So yeah, Rey Mysterio comes out, made sense. Rey hits the moves on Brock, and then Brock tossed Rey and Kofi to the ground. So Rey and Kofi are both at ringside because they went under the bottom rope. From here, Big E, so New Day's music hit again. Big E comes out at number 8. Kofi, Rey, and Big E all stand at ringside. They team up, rush in to beat up Brock. They're punching Brock. Brock no-sells it, sends them all flying. Then Rey hits his finisher on Brock. Kofi hits his finisher on Brock. Big E hits a big ending on Brock. And then literally Brock just springs right back up, tosses out Rey Mysterio. Then he clotheslines out Big E. And then he F5s out Kofi Kingston. So Brock Lesnar records his 7th elimination of the match here. So we're 8 entrants through. Brock's got 7 eliminations. He's standing in the ring getting a little rest. At number 9, we got Cesaro, which I found this hilarious. Brock just laughs at him, which must kill Smarks, who still thinks Cesaro deserves a push because, God, after everything Cesaro's been through with this company, he's so done for. Cesaro is well and truly long gone as far as being credible, so Cesaro comes out. We get Antonio Cesaro here. This was fine. Cesaro got into the ring for like 10 seconds. Brock literally just tossed him right out. So the 8th elimination for Brock. Smarks must have hated it. Then, I love that they did this. Shelton Benjamin comes in number 10. So Shelton Benjamin, he's walking down, he's like smiling, Brock's smiling, because these guys went to college together, Minnesota, that kind of thing. Basically, Paul Heyman hugs Shelton Benjamin, they're like embracing each other. Shelton gets in the ring, backslapping Brock, they're like hugging each other. Brock's all happy, they're like waiting for number 11 to come in. And then Brock, as you'd expect, picks up Benjamin, tosses him out. So, that was that. That's elimination number 9 for Brock Lesnar. Great stuff. Then the Intercontinental Champion Shinsuke Nakamura comes out. Sami Zayn accompanies him for a little bit, and Zayn just leaves. Shinsuke Nakamura gets in the ring. Brock tosses him out within literally 30 seconds. So Brock has 10 eliminations now. So then we get number 12, which is his MVP, Montel Vontavious Porter. The screenshot of him leaked yesterday, so he makes his entrance here. This was fine. Brock Lesnar eliminated MVP in no time. One thing I did love, though, is MVP's music's playing, which it's a pretty damn catchy theme song. Like, I'm coming. Nobody. I'm sorry. But yeah, so Brock Lesnar's literally dancing to the theme song, which that was hilarious. Eventually, MVP gets pulled into the ring by Brock, and then Brock just tosses him right back out. So by this point, Brock has 11 eliminations, tying what Kane did in 2001, which for literally as long as I can remember was like the most impressive Rumble feat. For over a decade, that was the holy grail, Kane's 11 eliminations. Now Brock ties that, and we're only literally 12 entrants through. And then number 13. Keith Lee. I loved how they did this. This made Keith Lee awesome for like the 3 minutes he was in the match. Keith Lee, his music hits, and Brock's face just changes. Brock's like, oh God. His face was like, oh my God, look at this guy. Like, damn, that was Brock's face. And Brock's facial expression for Keith Lee put Keith Lee over in itself. Brock went from pissing himself laughing at Cesaro, dancing at MVP's theme music, joking around, and then Brock's like, oh my God, Keith Lee's here. So Keith Lee comes in looking laser focused. Keith Lee, walks around ringside, death stares Paul Heyman, gets into the ring, takes off his like bask in his glory little vest. Keith Lee gets into the ring, and then literally he does one shoulder tackle to Brock. Brock's like, kind of woozy a little bit. Lee turns around. I love his footwork. It looks great. He sprints in the ropes, sprints back, bulldozes over Brock Lesnar. Brock sold that so well. Brock's in the corner oh my god. So then Keith Lee's unloading on Brock in the corner. That was awesome. And number 14, we get Braun Strowman. Strowman stormed into the match. So we get the legit heavyweights in the ring. Lee, Strowman, Lesnar. They're all going at it. And I'm thinking to myself, okay, the ring's going to start to fill up. So then all three guys are down. Keith Lee and Strowman get up. They begin going at each other. And then they're on the ropes. Brock gets the legs of both guys and just dumps them out. Which at the time, I was like, God damn it, I wanted Keith Lee to do better. But for what we got from Keith Lee here, he looked great. Him on the main roster is just excellent. He's going to be amazing. So, the NXT North American Champion, and then Braun Strowman, the soon-to-be Intercontinental Champion, get dumped out here. By this point, Brock Lesnar has broken the eliminations record. Brock, he's recorded all 13 eliminations so far. So, Brock waits for number 15 to come out. And boy, oh boy, so Ricochet comes out at number 15. This good callback to what they did on Raw, which that's how I like with this Rumble. I like what they did with the Rumble here because all of the entrants made sense. They did callbacks to what happened on Raw, callbacks to what happened throughout the weeks on TV. So it actually made sense. So it didn't just feel like I was watching just a random Rumble match. Like the women's one felt kind of random at points. They intertwined everything they could into this match, which I really liked how they booked it in that regard. So Ricochet comes down, and then Drew McIntyre comes in at 16. This was when the whole match changed. From this moment forward, the whole match became different. After seeing what happened to Keith Lee moments later, I was very nervous because I thought they're going to do the same to Drew. They're going to have Drew look so promising, probably eliminate Brock, and then Drew's going to be eliminated by someone like Roman Reigns or Cain Velasquez. So Brock takes his gloves off when McIntyre stands face-to-face with him. McIntyre's like 2 or 3 inches taller than Brock, so McIntyre's looking dominant over Brock. Brock's like, oh my god. So Brock takes his gloves off. And then Ricochet low blows Brock from behind. And then McIntyre, so Brock's against the ropes. McIntyre hits a Claymore on Brock. Brock gets knocked out to the floor. So Brock Lesnar is eliminated by Drew McIntyre. This moment, I went nuts. Drew McIntyre eliminates the Beast Incarnate. That was awesome. And how they followed this up as well. This was so sick how they did this. Basically, you had literally Drew McIntyre then stand, from in the ring, death staring Brock Lesnar. He was just staring him down. He's staring a hole through him. Brock was laid out on the floor. McIntyre's just staring at him. The crowd is erupting for this. And in that moment, you knew Drew McIntyre, Brock Lesnar, WrestleMania for the WWE Championship. Let's go. That's all I was thinking. I was so happy for Drew McIntyre. That was an incredible moment. He was looking so legit in this match. He looked dominant. This was Drew McIntyre's night. McIntyre then picks up Ricochet and flung him out like the piece of garbage he is. From here, McIntyre went back to death staring Brock Lesnar. Brock still laid out ringside at this point. Then we get the Miz at 17. Miz got what he deserved. A quick Claymore and then toss out of the ring. So McIntyre gets a third elimination. By this point, we're 17 entrants deep, and all the eliminations have been done by Brock Lesnar, who had his 13. And then we had McIntyre get his 3. So this was great. McIntyre standing in the ring, death staring Brock still. Then the ring fills up a bit more. So you get AJ Styles at 18, Dolph Ziggler at 19, Carl Anderson at 20. Which, I was thinking to myself, why is Carl Anderson even in the match? Which, then again, they actually booked this smartly. My smart aleck, why is Carl Anderson in this match? Turned into, I see what they were doing here. Because literally, the 2 guys you can see on screen ended up doing a madness to Carl Anderson and Luke Gallows and AJ Styles within a few moments. So, at number 21, we got Edge. Now, you see him on screen. You saw the picture from a few moments ago. Edge, when his music hit, I went crazy. That was probably the most I marked out in I don't even know how long. Because Edge, he hasn't been in a match since April 2011. He'd retired due to neck surgery. And I don't care that the dirt sheets leaked that Edge would be coming back. I couldn't care less. This is Edge. Adam Copeland. This is awesome. The fact that Edge is wrestling at all, it's amazing. Now, I don't want to see him outstay his welcome, have 1, 2, maybe 3 matches and get out of here. Do what Goldberg did. Don't ruin your reputation or image in the company, because this company at the moment sucks. But anyway, hearing his music, and then, the crowd erupted. I was going nuts. Edge comes out in the trench coat, or the coat, and then he stands in the aisleway and does his, signature thing where he, gets the pyro show, and I was just, I felt emotional watching that. Just seeing Edge, after everything he's been through with the neck and whatnot, to see him back here, it was such a great moment. His facial hair, he looked like a 70-year-old man. But anyway, from here, we got, so we got Edge hitting literally spears on everyone. The first spear he hit on McIntyre, but the camera didn't really show it. And then Edge hit spears on everyone. Styles, Ziggler, bloody everyone. Carl Anderson. So Edge hit 4 or 5 spears. And then from here we get 22, King Corbin. So in this moment, then we get Edge eliminating AJ Styles, which immediately I thought, okay, Rated RKO versus the OC. That's what I first thought, and then that would accentuate moments later. So then, pretty much we get number 23, Matt Riddle coming out, which I marked out for again. Matt Riddle, awesome to see Matt Riddle in the Royal Rumble. I popped there. I love Matt Riddle. He's awesome. Then, well, I mean, Matt Riddle I think is awesome. He got his entrance. The crowd was going crazy. He flipped off his shoes into the crowd. Baron Corbin's staring at him, and then Corbin eliminated Matt Riddle within a minute, which I didn't love that. But if that's the biggest thing I'm really complaining about in this match, that's nothing special. I thought, honestly, guys, going into this review, I thought tonight I would be complaining that Cain Velasquez won the Rumble. If not, Cain Velasquez eliminated Brock Lesnar, and they're doing Brock vs. Kane at WrestleMania, or Tyson Fury win the Rumble, or they'd have Reigns eliminate McIntyre, or they do something horrendous, or have Rollins win the Rumble. I thought they'd go that route, but they didn't, thank God. So yeah, Corbin eliminates Matt Riddle. At 24, we get Luke Gallows. And just like Anderson, I'm thinking to myself at the time, why is he in the match? He's just a tag team guy. Well, lo and behold, we'd see moments later why that was the case. From here, they continued with the match. They had Drew McIntyre eliminate Baron Corbin. Another fairly big-time elimination McIntyre gets in this match. That's his second real big one of note, because he tossed out Brock, as we all know by this point, and then he tossed out Baron Corbin, so that was great. Then Drew McIntyre, he got an incredible reaction there. From here, we had a magic killer delivered by Anderson and Gallows to Edge, and then I knew exactly who was coming out at 25. You didn't have to wait for the countdown. You were going to I hear voices in my head. Sure enough, Randy Orton's music hits. Orton walks down. He's methodical as usual. He's looking at the ring, and then he rushes in. Orton, gets in and then, aligns with Edge. So Rated RKO do their little reunion, which that was so cool. Seeing Rated RKO together was great. And once again, this further confirms the Rated RKO against the OC thing, which hopefully they do at WrestleMania, but they'll probably rush that and do it in Saudi Arabia at the end of February. But I don't care. Just seeing Edge at all, I think Edge is amazing. Then, number 26, Roman Reigns. He was going to come in eventually, so it's just a matter of when. And then, 27, we got Kevin Owens. And by this point, I realized, I knew what they were going to go for. They were going to do your whole Rollins, Joe, AOP, Buddy Murphy, that kind of thing. And sure enough, that's what we got. So, anyway, going back to Owens at 27. Owens hits pop-up powerbombs and stunners on everyone. Number 28, Aleister Black. He got a good little showing in this match. He came in, hit a couple of his big moves on people. I was hoping Aleister Black would win the Rumble if they inevitably had Roman Reigns toss out McIntyre, but didn't end up happening, so all good. Happy Aleister Black got in the Rumble match. From here, number 29, we got Samoa Joe, as I predicted. And we all knew who number 30 would be. I was kind of hoping Cena would be number 30, but of course it wasn't. We got Seth Rollins at number 30. Rollins walks out. He's got Buddy Murphy behind him, AOP next to him as well. Then Chaos ascended, so Samoa Joe and Kevin Owens are in the ring. They're like, come on. So the same thing we've had on Raw for 2 months. Rollins, Murphy, AOP, they're all standing on the aisleway. They're like, why would we come into the ring? So Owens and Joe, being the geniuses they are, run at the 4 men, and then they get beaten up. We get Edge and Randy Orton taken out at ringside by AOP. They pull them under the bottom rope and beat them up. We get literally AOP making a chaotic mess. So from here, Aleister Black jumps into the ropes, and he's going to try and jump at Seth Rollins, but Buddy Murphy legs Aleister Black. Seth Rollins then tosses out Aleister Black. From here, Kevin Owens hit a stunner on Seth Rollins, and then Owens literally grabbed Rollins and went to throw him out, but because Kevin Owens is an imbecile, he's a babyface, he threw Seth Rollins straight onto the AOP. AOP catch Rollins, and then AOP get Rollins back in the ring. AOP then beat up Kevin Owens, and Seth Rollins literally toss out Seth Rollins tossed out Kevin Owens. So that was super disappointing. From here, Buddy Murphy distracts Samoa Joe, and Rollins eliminates Samoa Joe. This leaves the final 5, Rollins, Edge, McIntyre, Reigns, and Orton. So we've got Rollins in the middle of the ring, Edge is in one corner, McIntyre in another, Reigns in another, Orton in another. Rollins is looking at Roman Reigns like, look, we were brothers, we can, work together, toss everyone out. And this had a very predictable moment. Reigns hit his Superman punch on Rollins. And then I loved how they had Edge grab Seth Rollins, toss him into a power slam by Randy Orton. Then Drew McIntyre hit this thunderous Claymore, the second biggest Claymore of the night. I don't even know. He hit so many sick Claymores tonight. He hit a Claymore on Seth Rollins. Drew McIntyre tossed out Seth Rollins. So our final 4 is Edge, Drew McIntyre, Roman Reigns, and Randy Orton. Out of this group, obviously Drew McIntyre is the main one you want to win. If Edge wins, I'd be happy with that as well at this point. So that was our final 4. So much better than they could have had with Brock or Cain Velasquez or Tyson Fury. There's so many routes they could have gone which would have sucked. But they went with this Final Four, which I was really happy with. That was great. From here, once we get that Final Four, the crowd's chanting, "This is awesome," which was justified. Rated RKO then worked together. So Orton RKO's Drew McIntyre. Then Edge and Randy Orton did this dual RKO on Drew McIntyre. Orton then teased an RKO on Edge. So, Edge had his back turned. Orton was in position for an RKO. Edge turns around and was like, "What are you doing, man?" And Orton is like, "I don't know. I'm the Viper." And then the crowd laughed. You could hear audible laughs. That was great. From here, Orton turns his back on Edge. Edge then tosses out Randy Orton to a massive pop. Orton was like, "Oh, fair enough." Orton was like, "Yeah, I get that." Edge, he's in the final 3 of the Rumble. His facial expression was great. This is awesome. I love Edge. So from here, Reigns, McIntyre, Edge at the final 3. You still got a chance, leveled towards Edge. Edge and Roman Reigns go at it. Edge jumped up to avoid the Reigns spear, and then Edge speared Reigns and tossed Reigns out, or so we thought. That would have been sick if that happened, but it didn't. So Edge is on the apron, Reigns is on the apron, they're punching each other. Reigns then lands this punch to Edge, knocks Edge off the apron. So we get Reigns and McIntyre. So Reigns is on the apron, I'm screaming, kick him off the apron, claim off the apron. Doesn't happen. Reigns gets in the ring. From here, with these guys at the final 2, I was so nervous, I was so afraid. Please, WWE, don't let Reigns win this match. Let Drew McIntyre go over. And then McIntyre hits an ungodly Claymore on Reigns, the biggest Claymore I've ever seen. Reigns, that must have felt awful. He saw that so well, Reigns. This thunderous Claymore. Then McIntyre tosses out Reigns. Clean, simple as you like. Drew McIntyre wins the 2020 Men's Royal Rumble. McIntyre's going to go to WrestleMania. He's going to face Brock Lesnar at this rate. That's going to be awesome. So that was your show. That was your Royal Rumble for 2020. Absolutely love this show. Realistically, not the show, but I love the Men's Rumble match. The Women's Rumble match was fine. Overall, I'm going to give this show... I'm going to give the show a B. I thought there was stuff in this show. Bayley, Lacey Evans, the opener with Reigns and Corbin being on the show at all. I didn't love that. Becky and Asuka at points I didn't love. The fact Charlotte Flair won the Women's Rumble, I didn't love that. That stuff stops it from being an A. But the Men's Rumble match itself, Wyatt vs. Fiend, I love that. Becky and Asuka at points, I loved. And yeah, so this show, I'm going to give a B. The Men's Rumble match carried this show for rating. I'm happy it only went 4 hours and 10 minutes, this show, because they could have made this show easily the main card nearly 5 hours. They didn't, thank God. They didn't put as many matches as they could on here. I thought they could have put a SmackDown tag or a SmackDown Intercontinental Championship, but they didn't. In the end, Drew McIntyre wins the Men's Royal Rumble match. So happy. Thank God they did that. So yeah, that's a review. Hopefully you enjoyed the video. Be sure to like, comment, sub. See ya.